sound is good?
Yep,
Okay.
you're clear. Yeah.
So, hi everybody. Thank you for joining to this session on this great event. I'm super glad to be here with you, even if it's online, but that's great to share with the Indian community. So this event is all about the new topics around SharePoint, around Office 365 and Microsoft 365. And this is my pleasure to introduce a great subject called SharePoint Spaces. You can see
is what you can expect to take away from the session. So we will really jump into the learning pathways of a website that Microsoft created for us.
Sorry.
Let me mute people. Guys, please keep yourself muted.
Yeah, sure.
Patrick, you might want to unmute yourself. You're talking.
Yeah.
Yeah, good.
Fine. So this session is all about SharePoint Spaces, and that's a discovery session on a great topic on how to embed in your SharePoint space, in your SharePoint sites, some 3D and virtual reality space. So we will first see how we can create very easily such type of spaces in SharePoint. And then we will have a broader discussion on 3D, what is 3D, what is virtual reality today, and how we can use it for a real business case. So just a few words about me. My name is Patrick Guimonet. I am based in Paris. My job on a day-to-day basis is to create solution, to architect solution for my enterprise customers. And I've created my own company, Abalone, to do that. I love to be speaker and organizer of events around SharePoint, around Office 365. I remember the great event we made with AWS community a few years ago in India, so it was great, and I hope we will be able to make it again in the near future. So we have created a community called AOS for Azure Office 365 SharePoint to share knowledge and to create events around these topics. You can follow me on Twitter, for example, or LinkedIn. Feel free to connect on LinkedIn. And I have been awarded by Microsoft 10 times MVP. So I am entering my 11th year of MVP. This is a very awesome program, and I have had the honor to meet Deepak in India. It was a great honor to meet Deepak and all the MVP in India. And I have already also been during 4 years Microsoft Regional Director. Just a few questions about you. I love to start my speaking engagement with this question, which is very interesting usually to say, are you from IT or are you from most of the business part? Are you consulting as a consultant working for IT in the company or usually for the business? Can you put it as a comment in the meeting just to have a glimpse of an idea of most of you are coming? Okay, IT. Usually in such type of event, we have a majority of IT people, but oh, that's cool. I know some well-known guys. Salut Jamel. So what I want to put the point on is that with Office 365, with SharePoint, with Microsoft 365, you always have to think, even if you are on IT, you always have to think about the business and how what the business want to do with the solution and how it can be used by the business. So definitely, when projects work well on this type of technology, it is because we have created a discussion between IT and business. IT being, I see it as an enabler in nowadays solution, because IT people are mastering technical stuff and technical details that business don't want to go and don't want to manage. But IT should absolutely connect with business to know the objective and for the needs of the business, to understand why this solution is, they should put in place such type of a solution. So that's probably my most important message in this session, and on any session, says that you should always start to have a discussion, if it's not already the case, with your business or the business you are targeting on the company you are working on. So let's start with the agenda. So the agenda will be in 3 parts. First, a deep dive demo on SharePoint Spaces. Then a discussion on how to understand what we have seen in the demo. I will speak about 3D, virtual reality, augmented reality, and things like that. And last but not least, of course, we will see and discuss about which use case we can imagine for such a technology. And I am especially interested to know if you, in your environment, you have already seen some good cases, some good use cases for this technology, SharePoint Spaces and 3D technology around this. So let's demo SharePoint Spaces. First thing you should to understand in this demo, this is a real use case I have had with one of my customers, and they wanted to organize an annual event. So this is typically an event nowadays. This is typically an online event. So we can see on this slide the typical Teams channel and Teams organization we can put in place to have such an event. So I think many companies are nowadays organizing events in Teams like that, because with COVID, it's not so easy to put every people in the same room, in the same place. So this is, I think, a very usual and very common use case for our days. So you have typically a Teams organized with several channels. Some of them are for the keynote, some of them are for breakout session. And we can imagine as well several other channels for coffee, for example, for some break, virtual coffee, I would say, some documentation in a library, and maybe a service desk or something to get some place to get some help for people. This is definitely the real use case I got from my customers. And the question was, how can I help my end user go to such a team place, but even more easily than going to Teams, going, for example, starting from a page. So the first idea was to make a SharePoint page to access all the channel, all the place in Teams. And that's already cool. In fact, let me show you. Let's go outside the PowerPoint and let's go on the real stuff. So here is our Teams. So this is nothing special in these Teams with, as I said, some keynotes, some place where we can schedule some session, breakout session, some space for coffee or for discussion and things like that. My lunch page can obviously be embedded into Teams, but it can be as well accessed directly as a SharePoint space, a SharePoint standard page. So if we click on, for example, this room, we can, we can, for example, imagine to come back to Teams. The link doesn't appear to work, but you can make it working as a link directly to the channel, corresponding channel into Teams. But definitely my customer wanted more. So I had to have a look on a 3D space and things like that. And that's what brings me to SharePoint Spaces. First thing you should know on SharePoint Spaces is that you should activate a feature. This is a prerequisite at site level. So that's standard SharePoint stuff. And as it's in preview, still in preview, you should activate. It's not activated by default, but this feature will allow everything to happen. So this is the prerequisite. And when this is done, you will see a new option in your main menu, creation menu. So you can create a list, document library, but then after activating this feature, you will be able to activate, to create a SharePoint space. So let's have a look here. Here we have our SharePoint space. The first thing to understand is that space is not a special site or a special sort of SharePoint site. It's more than a special sort of SharePoint page. So in the traditional SharePoint hierarchy, you should understand it as a special page. So let's create our new SharePoint space from here. Here is the standard menu we get. So I will create a space name with our event name. Good on. You can put a description, and on the left you have to choose what they call a structure. So this is you should understand it as a special 3D structure that will be the structure of your 3D space. As far as I'm concerned, I prefer the most simple structure, which is called terrace, because with the other one, you will be able to try it. All the sky part of your environment will be something like cluttered by this special architecture, which can be cool at some times. But if you want to create your very own specific space, I find it easier to use the terrace option. So here it is. And so at this time, Microsoft's SharePoint has created for me an environment. And you can see that I have a big background, a beautiful background picture, which is with some mountain and lake, which is really cool, but definitely not what I would like to have for a business event. So we will try to change it very quickly. On the bottom, you see the terrace. So you imagine you are on a terrace, on a 3D terrace, and with your mouse, you can round the environment around. Have a look all around your environment. You can zoom and change with the mallet of your mouse, and so you can manipulate the environment directly from your mouse. It's very convenient and very easy to manipulate. You should notice that you can only you stay at the same place. You can't walk. Maybe it will come at some point, but nowadays it's not possible at this time. You are, in fact, your position is static, and you just can round the environment. You have an option on the top, which is called space design, and let's have a look on it. Space design is the set of options you can put on your space. So we can change the name at any time. You can change or modify the description. we can change the structure. So let's have a look just to show you how it looks like. For example, if you choose arch, you see that you are no longer on a terrace with an open view on the sky, but more under a very bizarre structure, very modern, I would say, structure. So let's try another one like geodome, which is a structure with hexagon and things like that. So definitely it can be cool, but not so easy to use it in a business environment. Terrace is the most clear view, give you the most clear view of everything. You can change, obviously, the background image with some very beautiful images provided by Microsoft, but everything is in the nature. So definitely, I want to have more business place. And for example, so you can try some illustration, but illustration is very, as you can see, a very simple picture, very image. You can put a background color, and that's just an empty background. But hopefully, luckily, we can add a custom file. So let's add a custom file. For the best result, you should find a 3D picture or a very panoramic picture, very wide picture. And I found a good result with this one. I would like to show you the picture before. Let me try to find it on my Explorer. So it is. I want to show you the picture before put it in the space and after. Yes, I think I have it. That's cool. So let's show it. Yeah. It takes some time because that's not so small picture. And really, what's make here a good picture is that a panoramic view of an internal room, an internal space with a very cool roof picture. So using this as a background of my space will give us very good result. So here it is. It takes a few seconds to load it, and then my environment look very, I would say, like, for example, company town hall or company. It's a good place for a company meeting or thing like that. So I like this type of picture. You can define the rotation at which angle you want to start the visualization. You can define the height of your picture and things like that. You can put a very interesting option is that you can put a welcome message. So you just have to add an audio file, and every people coming inside your space will hear this message. You can define an ambient sound like music, for example. Not sure we can get it working, but let's try. And as you should think about your space as a SharePoint page. You can at every moment save it as a draft, and you can publish it when you think it's a good time to publish it. As a SharePoint page, you get an URL, a specific URL. So we can see it that our page has the name of I have given to it, plus the extension ASPX, which is quite normal for a SharePoint page. And if we go on our site content page, we will see that this is really a page. So we are here on site page library, and we can see here that our page is like from a SharePoint point of view, it's exactly stored and manipulated as SharePoint pages. So that's cool. Obviously, you can click and reopen it from here. So the background, the environment, we saw that. So let's try to, but our space is cool, but it's a little bit empty. So let's see how we can put some stuff in it. You should at every time edit your page, and on the top left you have a plus option where you can add some components. So you should think about that as 3D web parts in a certain way. That's 3D components you can add to your web parts. And in fact, you have two categories of components. The first category are 2D objects. So the first one, the most simple, I would say, is a text object, for example. So for example, I can say agenda, I can put it. So on every object, I have the option to specify some parameters. So let's do agenda. You can increase the text size to have a big agenda. You have option to change the color. You can define alignment and things, usual things for text, and you can define. Okay, so first you have many options, very usual for text. You can define the padding on the left, on the right, and things like that. But what is probably the most interesting is what we have on the bottom. First, we have an option we will see on almost every object is that you can put them on a podium or a note. So here, for example, if you select Show Podium, it will ask a sort of a big black box under your components. And on the very bottom of your window, you should probably be able to see some options that are available to manipulate the 3D object in itself, like angle. So you can modify the angle, you can modify the distance from the user, you can bring it more narrow, no, more close, or more put it not so close if you want. You can change the height where your agenda stuff is put, and you can obviously rotate in every direction. You can do it with your mouse as well, but it's sometimes quite easier to do it with the panel option you have on the bottom. For example, here I am rotating on one side and on the other side. So these are the 3D options that allow you to put some very interesting option and very clear manipulation on the object. You can add for every object action. What are action and what is available? The first type of action is on trigger. So what does it mean? It means the action your object will do when you click. So its trigger is a way to say what is going on when you click on the object. So let's have a look on what is available. You can inspect the object. So on every object, if you inspect it, it will take all the place in the screen. You can link to another space. So with this option, you will be able to create a journey, a travel from one space to another space, which is quite cool. You will be able to play some sound, some audio, or you will be able to play to have a link associated to your object. And this is the default action on trigger, but you can definitely have up to 4 actions available. So to access this action, you will need to click right on the object, and you will have a menu that will show up and things like that. So at this time, I don't want probably to add some action. Let's have a look on other interesting today stuff. I have the file URL, which is a very simple way to display some documents. I will show you, for example, I'm not sure I've uploaded it right now, but okay, I will try to find it on my stuff. It should be there. It should be there. If I don't find it quickly, I will show you the end result. It's very simple to understand. Where I can find elements. Okay, here, for example, I have an agenda. So this is a PPTX document. And I add this document, and it should be able to read it and to display it. So we can see here it's very small, but I will try to increase the size. Okay. So this is how it will display, for example, a slide in my 3D environment. I can add some other cool stuff with people. So if you want to show information about some people, so by default, I have my own card displayed, but I can choose another one, another people. I want to increase the size. Okay, maybe not so big, that's cool. And I can choose another people, which is Mr. Test. And here it is. Let's put a podium beside and things like that. So you can put some information, for example, about the presenter of your event and things like that. I don't want to show everything because we will probably lack some time. So you can easily understand from what I showed already how it can be easy to put some files, some text, some people, some image, and some video. Let's just finish with 2D object with the video. Here I have an already uploaded video about some fireworks. So let's show it. Let's try to create it. And the interesting thing, if I publish my space, I should be able to play the video. So here is the result of putting a video. You can obviously run it if you want. If you do a right click, this is the other action menu that appear. So by default, you can inspect your video. And this is the way the action is doing when you inspect an object. It put it, as I said, on the whole screen, and then you have a very big view of your video, a clear view. So that's it. And if you want to go back, you click outside the object. You can as well play the video with this option menu. Okay. So that's it for the 2D object, but we are in a 3D environment, so probably the most exciting thing is to add some 3D objects. So let's try to do it. So we have to, as I said, every time to edit your space. First interesting thing is a 3D image. You can add some 3D image in your space, but obviously you need a 3D image to make it doing some things, some real effect. And to let you understand how it works, you can as well put some 2D image as a source of this 3D image object. And here, for example, you will understand very easily how it works. Here I have a flat view of the Earth, a typical map of planet Earth. And if I use it as a source of my 3D object, what do I get? Let me publish. And in fact, I have a small globe here. And when I click on it, I am just like I am inside the globe with a very cool view of my image. So we can see here that it's not perfect because my image is a 2D object, 2D image with a small white space on the right, but that's not so bad effect. You can really go inside your image in a 3D, in sort of 3D sphere. So the effect is quite cool, I think. And if you want to exit this space, you can just go like that. So this is the effect we get with a 3D image. We can have the exact similar stuff with a 3D video. So I could have used my 2D video of fireworks and put it in a 3D video. But for better results, you should obviously try to find or to create some 3D video directly. Probably what makes things very interesting is 3D object. What is 3D object? These are 3D objects created outside of SharePoint, outside of this space, and you can, we will see that in a few minutes, you can create your own 3D models, or you can find them probably on the net. You can find probably some very cool stuff. And for example, here I found some SharePoint and Teams rotating logos, which show you that in a few seconds. But you can go to what they call a 3D catalog, and they provide you with a very great number of predefined, animated for you 3D objects. So for example, you have tons of emojis, if you like emojis. So you have it in a very several and many spaces like culture. So these are predefined and pre-craft animals are very interesting as well. Predefined and pre-arranged for you, pre-created for you objects, 3D models. What you should know is that, in fact, there are two types of models. There are static models. So, for example, if you add, let's try an emoji like this one, you insert it in your space, then your object is there, but it's not moving. It's not animated. So this is cool, but it's a little bit static. What is even cooler is when you try what they call animated 3D models. So, for example, in the 3D catalog, you have access to, as soon as you have access to SharePoint Spaces, you can see a little guy running on bottom of the square. And here, for example, I will have a look on all animated animals model. And I especially, so you have, for example, bees or some sort of animals, but I love the fish one. For demo purpose, that's very cool. Not sure it will take place in a event, in a business event, but as I said, from a demo purpose, that's the best of every object. So as you can see, object can be very complex. Here we have not one object, but we have something like 7 or 8 fish. And it can be animated, so each part of the object have its own path defined, and the object is really making as you have a life in your environment, in your space. This is however, just a simple 3D object like any other 3D object we have already seen. And from a SharePoint Spaces point of view, that's just, you can show it on a podium or not. You can add some action or not. For example, you can play a sound if someone want to click on the fish and things like that. By default, the trigger is an inspect. We can see. So when I will click on the button on a fish, we will see it on the whole screen. Let's do it. So here we have our space, and if I click on my fish, I see that everything is grayed. Everything else is grayed, and I have a vision of my screen of my fish that is put in front of everything. Okay, so that's the most probably a striking view of what is a 3D object, and obviously I want to show you probably the most fascinating for a geek like us part, which is the animated logo of SharePoint or Teams. Let's start with the SharePoint rotating logo, and here it is. So it's as simple as that to, once you get the file with animated logo, to put it in your environment. That's the exact same object I was able to put in my PowerPoint. So this is to let you think that the 3D world is coming not only to SharePoint, but to the whole Office 365 space, in fact. Because at the very soon, at the end, you will be able to add a 3D animated object almost everywhere, and almost as simply as you insert an image nowadays on every app, for example, on Excel or on Word. So it's time to jump back to the slide. So we have seen, you will be able to find every point of the demo in the slide. So I go very quickly on it, but if you want to have a focus on a special part, feel free to find my slide on. I will share it on LinkedIn, for example, or probably on the event site and things like that. A quick view of how a page look like, a SharePoint space look like. As I said, this is a page, so you have the exact, this is a SharePoint page, so you have the exact same information that you can have on a standard SharePoint page. So this page is published or not, and this page can be checked in or checked out. Populate the space, so we have seen some option, 2D and 3D option, and some example of the results. Okay, this is a cool animation of what is going on when you add a document library object. In fact, you can have a look on every document which is part of your document library. So that's pretty cool for a business for a business use case, that's pretty cool and pretty useful. The action, we have seen on trigger, we have seen more action, and we have basically the capabilities to add some more views, some more links, to your space. So you have one action for the on trigger action, and you can add 4 more. So it's up to 5 action possible for one object, for each object. And the left link is on trigger, the right link is more action. So what we have seen, let's have a look and a short discussion of what we should understand around 3D and virtual reality to better use the SharePoint Spaces. So first, a quick reminder of what is 3D. This is not a very new space of IT. This is a long time space, and 3-dimensional computer graphics are there for a long time. This is the way to represent in 3D geometric data. And what is the important part of this definition is that every 3-dimensional representation, like the fish we have seen a few minutes ago, will be rendered in a 2D image. So my SharePoint Spaces is very flat. My SharePoint page is a flat 2D space. My screen is a 2D space. So this is what is 3D in reality. It's a way to transform 3-dimensional objects, 3-dimensional vision on a 2D space, and to make you feel that you are in a 3D space, but in reality, your screen is still a 2D screen. So basically, you have 3 phases. You have to model, to create a model, a 3D model. You have to render the layout and the animation. And then you have the rendering in itself, which will use the 2 first phases to render a big, beautiful view of your 3D object on a 2D screen. How easy is it to experiment it? For example, this beautiful bee is available right now on your Windows 10, provided you have Windows 10 on your PC, you have access to it. In fact, with Windows 10, you have 3 3D app embedded directly in the operating system. So the most cooler, I would say, is 3D viewer, which can be used and launch from your Windows menu. And then the first option, the first menu, the first default option is the GLB file. You can as well very quickly and easily experiment 3D models in PowerPoint, because the 3D library we have seen in SharePoint Spaces is available right now in your PowerPoint. So in the insert menu of your PowerPoint, you can add a 3D object coming from the library we have seen previously. And for example, you can add a very complex object like this helicopter, a rotating helicopter, which is very cool. So this is the to just give you a view. You can I recommend, if you are interested in 3D space and environment, I recommend that you launch the 3D viewer in Windows 10. And what here is some sample of what you will be able to see. You will be able to open the B 3D model and to manipulate it in 3D. You will be able to show only some vertical view of the 3D. And probably the most funny part is that you can display your model on top of a picture taken from your camera, from your webcam. And then you can see the bee directly in my front, which is rather funny, I think. So this brings us to another domain, which is mixed reality. What is mixed reality? There are many acronyms there: mixed reality, augmented reality, augmented virtual or virtual reality. Let's define all these terms. Mixed reality is the merging of real and virtual. The best example I can show you is the previous picture, where you can see in front of a picture of me, the bee, which is a really virtual, non-existing object. It's only a virtual object created by the computer, but on top of a real picture, a real guy, for example, here. So this is typically mixed reality, and nowadays we have a lot of mixed reality space and opportunity. Mixed reality, in fact, refers to a continuum. There is not such a thing like the reality and the virtuality. That's more, you should think about it more like you take the reality. For example, in our previous example, on SharePoint Spaces, we took some pictures of a real room, a real space, and we add some object in it. So this is a sort of augmented reality we create. And the best best representation we can have is you can go from a totally real environment to a totally virtual environment, and between both you have some type of augmented reality or augmented virtuality, and this is what makes the great domain of mixed reality. So that's definitely a great domain, and there are many way to do mixed reality in our world. So very practical question and solution you could find on these slides. We have seen what is a SharePoint Spaces. Here is some example of how you can enrich your SharePoint Spaces. You can enrich with a 360-degree background image from best place in the world. There is, on the left, there is a great blog post of Mike Riley, which show how you can use Google Maps to embed, to capture, in fact, 360-degree background image and to put them in your SharePoint Spaces. So for example, if you want to create a space with I don't know, the Taj Mahal.
You have 10 more minutes left. Thank
How
you.
many?
You have 10 more minutes. 10 more minutes.
Yeah.
All right.
That's cool. I am almost in the end of the session, so that's cool. So, for example, if you want to have a beautiful monument like let's say Tower Bridge in London, then you can go to Google Maps, go on this exact place, display the view in 3D, and then capture the image, and then you will be able to embed it in your space. Another great article, blog post of Mark Riley is how to create a 3D object from 2D objects. So, for example, if you have a logo of Microsoft, then you can easily create a 3D object from this 2D image. So this is the how to you can do that. And I did it with, for example, the logo of M365 like that. So that's pretty cool. And it's once it's modified as a 3D object, you can, as I said, embed it directly into your SharePoint Spaces or directly into your PowerPoint for make it available. You can, if you want, if you are interested, you have on the previous slide, you have the link to download the Microsoft 365. That's my bonus. That's my bonus for the session. You can here find the download. Let me see if I can click. I will try to put it on the meeting directly on the meeting comments, but you will find it in the slides. How to get started? We have seen there are many ways to create 3D images, 360 videos. A lot of file formats are supported, and definitely you have many options in the Office and Microsoft environment. The very cool thing about SharePoint Spaces is that you only need a modern browser to author your space. For consumption, we have seen that a browser is also a great tool, but you can also use some hardware, some specific hardware. You can use some head-mounted display, and here are the one who are supported with SharePoint Spaces. I would, if you want to even more understand these specific topics, I would highly recommend that you have a look on this content guidelines for Microsoft, and that's definitely a good start, a good way to start. That's a document describing the best option and the best way to create and to manipulate 3D content inside the Microsoft ecosystem. So that's the final part of my session. For which use case, we have seen that it's pretty cool to create some, for example, moving a fish in a SharePoint space, but definitely that's not a business purpose. So do you think we have a good use case? I think it can be used, and it's very interesting to use SharePoint Spaces to create some immersive stories in mixed reality. So here are some idea of scenarios. Onboarding tour and campus tours are a good way to make a good use of SharePoint Spaces. We have seen that we can also use it to create a space to launch some special event. It can also be used as a way to display product catalogs and product trainings inside companies. And we can obviously make very cool new product launch with this type of technology. So this is my question. Do you have any good, have you already seen any good way to use, or to a good idea to use SharePoint Spaces in your company or at your customer sites? Anybody has some idea to share? Can you show how to handle your virtual event in SharePoint Spaces? In fact, this is probably the last option. How can I handle my virtual event in SharePoint Spaces? That's really easy. In fact, every object you put in your environment, you make a link to your channel or to your Teams meetings, and that's it. That's the way we use it to connect SharePoint Spaces to a Teams, for example. So you can see it as a first page, a launching page for your Teams meeting, or for any other type of link you want to share in a cool way. I hope it's clear.
Patrick, quick reminder, yeah. 4 more minutes left, Patrick. Yeah.
Sorry?
You have 4 more minutes left.
Yeah. Okay. That's almost the end. And if you need some help, this is my 2 last slides. First, the documentation. So you have a very cool documentation, as always, on support.microsoft.com. Every option are described, and every menu, how to create SharePoint Spaces. I have consolidated some SharePoint Spaces on a Sway. So this is a production of mine. And you will find some great resources like the post from Mike Rackley. I also did some two explanation posts on detailing what we have seen, mostly what we have seen in this session. And we have, of course, some great documentation from Microsoft, some cool Ignite session recorded here. So I expect that they will announce some new feature or some new capabilities around SharePoint Spaces in Ignite this year. So as you probably know, Ignite is just a few days around. So I have a great hope that there will be some exciting news around SharePoint Spaces in Ignite this year as well. Thank you very much. And obviously, we have some few minutes for question if you want. Let me have a look on comments. I wish to launch a healthcare product and make accessible to a public site. Yes, so this is